Good morning and welcome. I am Pastor Guy, and this is Pastor's Corner. For those of you who might be new to the corner, I'm Guy Watley, and welcome to my corner of the internet. It's a place where we get together to encourage the believer on how to be in the world, but not of the world. If you like what you hear, please follow us on Facebook. I also encourage you to go to YouTube and subscribe to that page, and you can find us at condonbaptistchurch.org as well. We live stream our Sunday morning services at 10:30 Pacific time, Lord willing, every Sunday. So anyway, I'm here. Hopefully the sound works good this week and I don't have to do 2 takes. But welcome. I wanted to talk a little bit about time. I've been mulling time over the past few days, mainly because it seems that I run out of it. And granted, it's probably because of procrastination and being a poor steward of time. But it certainly seems like there isn't enough time. There's not enough hours in the days, not enough days in the weeks, and not enough weeks in the seasons. Time just continues to move forward at a pace that sometimes it seems accelerated. And I was just wondering as I was thinking about this and how it impacts us that we worship and we believe in a creator God who lives outside of time. Yet the way he relates to us is all built around time. And it's built around seasons and eons, as it were. You can do a quick search of Scripture and see kind of what I'm talking about. There's a beginning of time. In the beginning, God. And there's going to be an end of days when man's clock is going to run out. And so as I was contemplating that and thinking how we live in a world where we're desperate for more time, it seems that our God lives outside of that, and so not so much concerned with it. A day is 1,000 years, as 1,000 years is a day to the Lord, right? But yet he orders everything around time and around the 24-hour day and the 365-day year for us, for his creation, for his creatures, for those he created in his image, for us to exist. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about Noah. And, Noah, and depending on how you interpret the passage in there, I kind of lean towards God gave him 120 years to build the ark. And I just wonder if he ever felt like he didn't have enough time. Like, I'm running out of time. And yet he's looking at decades away as he struggles and slaves to put this ark together, to build it. And, things we don't know. Did he hire the local people to help him build the ark, or was it just him and his 3 boys and their wives? We don't know that. Scripture doesn't tell us that. And so for practical purposes, we assume that he used local labor. But there's nothing in Scripture that says that. When you got 120 years, that's a lot of time. But I have no doubt that towards the end, Noah felt like he was running out of time. How is this all going to come together? And as I, was going about my week, it's been a busy week, and we've another saint, a dear saint that I had the pleasure, we did here in Condon, of getting to know several years ago, moved on to glory. He passed from this life into eternity, into a place where there is no time. His time on earth was up. God called him home, and no doubt for his wife and his daughters and his grandchildren, his time on earth was too short. I've been there. I've experienced that, and the hurt and the sorrow and the what ifs and how many years wasted, or whatever we want to look at when someone passes from this life into eternity. And I'm speaking of believers. Of course, we still look back and wish we had more time. One more hour, one more minute, another day. There will always be time, right? Humans have written song after song after song about time and it passing by and going by. Because suddenly we wake up one day and our time is short. What does that mean to God? Scripture, when we go through Scripture, and you can do a cursory search of, the word time, and one of the best uses of that word that God uses is in the fullness of time. In the fullness of time, God sent his Son. God has a clock. He lives outside of time, yet he pays close attention to our time. And in the fullness of time, he sent his Son, Jesus Christ. In the fullness of time, he will unite all things in him, things in heaven and things on earth. So our lives are ordered around time, yet we have too much of it and can't get enough of it. We watch the clock tick away. Any sport fan out there, as you've watched a game, you're wishing time would go faster if your team is ahead and the clock is ticking down, and you're wanting it to slow down if your team is behind, and you're wanting more time. How many times do you think about time during the day as time slips away? It would be an interesting Google search to see, because I'm sure we do it a few hundred times a day, maybe more, I don't know. But the Bible uses various descriptors, as I said. The fullness of time is one of my favorites. In his time. So in God's time, when he's ready, in other words, even though he lives outside of time. So we don't know when that's going to happen. Jesus Christ said of the great day of the Lord that only the Father knows. And in his time, he knows, only he knows, Jesus said, the day and the hour. Again, a clock for an individual who lives outside of time, who lives in eternity. As I was thinking about my friend who passed into glory, he now sees it as, according to Scripture, as he sees Jesus as he is. Because for the first time ever, he's without sin. There's no possibility for him to sin ever again. What an amazing thought. How many times do we sin in our short life on earth, and yet we are going to live in eternity with no sin? Not even an inkling, not the ability, nothing. It will all be taken away in his time. when he unites everything in heaven and on earth. Proper time is another one that is used. And then this one that I guess I find it curious because, again, we get back to the idea of time, and we read about Satan, and it says he knows that his time is short. That was written 2,000 years ago. So whose calendar was John using when he said Satan's time was short? Certainly not ours, because it's been 2,000 years. Yet, we are but a whisper, right? Satan is a created being who also lives in eternity, outside of time. And he comes to the earth, dwells on the earth. We see in Job that he had the ability to go to various levels of heaven, to stand before the Father, to converse with the Father. And so, we see all these things going on, and yet his time is short. Well, if you live for eternity, what does that mean? I have no idea. It's not a concept that we can understand, because it obviously, for you and I, well, your time's short. That means, days, weeks, months, maybe a few years, but not 2 millennia. Anyway, we are to rejoice, it says, in that. And again in Revelation 22, for the time is near. It came for my friend. He's in eternity now. His time was up. Only God knows how many days and hours we are going to live, and it's appointed once for man to die. And when your time's up, you go see the Lord, and he's with the Lord, and time doesn't matter to him anymore. He doesn't have to worry about getting his petunias in, about putting his garden together, about the things of the seasons, just like everybody else that has passed into eternity. Time no longer matters. And here I sit, looking at my clock, remembering the words of my wife that says, you never do 12 minutes. I'm Pastor Guy, and this has been Pastor's Corner, and my time today for this is up. You be blessed, and I'll see you next week.